I just downloaded the new Filmora 12, and the lifetime license that I've always had, it doesn't work anymore. I hate having to make a video like this. You know, when I started using Filmora about 5 years ago, I was definitely one of their biggest fans. So much so that I have 3 lifetime licenses. These lifetime licenses meant that I had to pay more money up front, but that meant I would have access to all the future software updates down the road. It said so right on the website, until now. Let me take a minute to introduce myself in case you don't know me. My name is Daniel Batal. I'm a YouTube content creator, and on my channel, I help people make better videos, put them onto YouTube, and help them grow an audience around that content. I was actually Filmora's very first brand ambassador, and I've made over 100 videos about Filmora, teaching people how to use that software. I've actually driven tens of millions of views to those videos, and I've even had thousands of people buy their own Filmora licenses, well, because I told them they should. Now, as a YouTube content creator who works with sponsors, I never want to say anything bad about a sponsor that I've worked with. It just makes a creator sound spiteful or resentful, as if something went wrong behind the scenes and they're using their platform to somehow exact revenge. But I find myself in a position where I also have an obligation to the thousands of people out there who have purchased a license to that software based on my recommendations. And it's been quite a few over the years. Now, Filmora has undergone a lot of changes over the years since I bought it way back in version 8. Back then, they only had a few licensing options to get access to the software. They had the free version, which was really more like a free trial version. You could use all the features, but it had a watermark on export, and you had to buy some sort of license or plan in order to remove that watermark. There was also a 1-year subscription-based plan. That one also got rid of the watermark, but it was a recurring fee that was cheaper, but you had to pay that year after year in order to maintain access to the software. They also had another option that they like to tout as their best seller. That was their lifetime license. It wasn't a subscription-based plan like their other options. It was literally an actual license. This was a one-time fee, and as it was labeled, lasted a lifetime. This was the option I purchased. I also purchased another lifetime license so that I could run the software on my Mac operating system. Now, if you had purchased a lifetime license to Filmora back when I did, it was pretty clear to anyone looking at the options that Filmora was offering free updates. And if you had any question what free updates meant, they spelled it out right at the bottom of the webpage. All software updates are completely free, period. And that was a great deal. That license allowed me and a lot of other people I recommended it to update the software every time Filmora went from Filmora 8 to Filmora 9 to Filmora 10 to Filmora 11 until we got to Filmora 12. Now, to be fair to Filmora, I've said all along to every user that I've ever talked to that the more they asked for new features and tried to get Filmora to do more, that eventually Filmora was going to stop offering this lifetime license. And when Filmora 10 was introduced in November of 2020, that's exactly what happened. They removed the lifetime license and they changed that out and introduced what they called a perpetual plan. No more licenses, just plans. Now, the perpetual plan allowed you to get updates, but only for that specific version. So if you had purchased a perpetual plan for Filmora 10, you would get all of the updates until they moved into a newer version, such as Filmora 11. And they made that really clear right from the outset. Next to these plans, they actually had a tiny information bubble that at the time I thought was completely innocuous, but over time turned out to be a lot more ominous than expected. It said, this plan does not include upgrades to future versions of the software beyond Filmora 10, but it does include updates to Filmora 10. Did you catch that? A subtle changing of the words there. They started using a word that they hadn't used before. Suddenly, new versions of the software weren't called updates, some were called upgrades. Little did I know that this subtle change of wording in this plan that I had never signed up for would come back to haunt me in the license that I had bought years prior. Now, during my first year with them as their very first brand ambassador, I would have multiple conversations at any given time with people who worked for the Filmora team regarding things like the videos that I was making for them, any changes in the licensing that I might want to make people aware of, new promotions, or things that might come down the line that Filmora was either promoting or trying to make the users aware of. One of the biggest questions I got from a lot of people when we first saw these perpetual plans take the place of our lifetime licenses was, were our lifetime licenses now somehow in jeopardy? But thankfully, the Filmora team explained to me and all the other users out there, even though they no longer offered that particular license, we were still all allowed to upgrade to the newer versions. And we all did. For me, that license allowed me to update all the way from Filmora 8 through Filmora 11. Now, I stopped working with Filmora years ago as a brand ambassador, but we left on really great terms. I always liked the company and I liked the product. Now, Filmora had offered me a deal to stay on as their brand ambassador moving forward, but one of the things I always worried about is I didn't want to be known as a Filmora channel. There's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the reasons was, what if Filmora somewhere down the line made a decision that upset a lot of the users? If people were upset with Filmora for some reason, that would probably mean that me and my channel would end up paying the price right along with them. That's what we call foreshadowing, folks. So you can imagine my surprise when I opened up Filmora the other day to work on a project, and I was met with something very unexpected. When I opened up the software, a pop-up window appeared that said my one-time purchase plan of Filmora no longer applied to Filmora 12, because Filmora 12 is a major version that requires a paid upgrade. I was confused. Partly because they were asking me to pay again for access to the software when they should know that I have a lifetime license. But also the fact that they were referring to my lifetime license as a one-time purchase plan. That wasn't even the name of any plan I've ever heard of. Lifetime, perpetual, but one-time purchase plan was a whole new language I'd never seen before. I had to double check to make sure I was actually signed into Filmora, because sometimes what happens is when you update the software and you're not signed in, it doesn't recognize your license or who you are, so it will go right to a prompt of trying to get you to purchase a plan until you've signed in. But I was signed in, and Filmora should be able to see my license. So then I kind of immediately guessed that probably some of the information had been confused, and that Filmora somehow thought my lifetime license was actually a perpetual plan that only applied to the previous version. So I went to the Wondershare website, logged into my account just to make sure that all my licenses were straightened out, and sure enough, they were all listed as lifetime licenses. So then the next thing I thought was, well, maybe that pop-up was just something to prompt me to potentially upgrade to some new bundle they were offering with extras beyond the software. I always felt that those extra things probably should be included for people who held lifetime licenses because they were technically updates to the software, but I understand that Filmora was trying to figure out ways to make more money. So there it was. So I ignored that initial pop-up that showed up in Filmora 12 and closed it out. I started editing with the software, and then the unimaginable happened. I went to export my project when I was done, and I was met with another pop-up window. This one said, please purchase Filmora to remove the image watermarks and enjoy more premium features. I started talking to other lifetime license holders that I knew to see if they were running into similar issues. One of my fellow creators who I know really well and who also has a lifetime license had shared with me a screen capture of a conversation he'd had with Filmora where they kept referencing perpetual plans no matter how many times he told them, but I have a lifetime license, not a perpetual plan. It's like they weren't hearing him. Now, the more I investigated, the worse it got. I went over to the Filmora channel where they had posted a video about the new Filmora 12 update, and I actually asked them in the comments section, are you guys really charging lifetime license holders for the latest update? And although they responded to every other comment around mine, they kept ignoring me, their very first brand ambassador. It was like I didn't exist. So I ended up going online and grabbing a screenshot of the original Filmora website from way back when I actually purchased the license, using a website that was called the Wayback Machine. They store previous versions of websites over time, so no matter how many times that website changes, you can always get a snapshot look back into the past and see what that website looked like then. It definitely said we should all be getting free lifetime updates. I have to be honest, I was pretty shocked. I suddenly felt like me and everyone else that I knew who had a lifetime license suddenly was lied to all these years. What's worse, that inadvertently made me a liar as well. I had told millions of people over the years, go buy Filmora, get the lifetime license. That will allow you free lifetime updates. Pay once and never pay again. I was upset. I was angry. So I went on to Twitter and I tagged the good people at Filmora, and I was pretty blunt. Hey Filmora, when you tell users years ago that purchasing a lifetime license means all software updates are completely free, you should probably mean that. Lots of angry lifetime license holders like me realizing you just threw all of us under the bus with the latest update. Lots of other confused and angry Filmora users jumped right into that conversation on Twitter, but you know who didn't? Filmora. But here's where the story gets even crazier. The very next day, I get an email out of the blue from Filmora. They had been listening all along, they just didn't want to respond in public. Here's what the actual email said. Hello, Daniel. It's been about 2 years since our last collaboration. I'm reaching out this time on behalf of Wondershare, trying to address your concerns about our latest Filmora 12, which you posted on Twitter today. Yes, great. They wanted to resolve this issue. We're also seeking a new partnership. Wait, what? They came right out of the gate offering me money? Now? For what? Why now? Why do we require paid upgrade for perpetual plan on Filmora 12? First, the upgrade is not obligatory. Filmora 9 users can still keep the old version. We actually provided about 10 updates for this version, and these updates were free as promised. Wait, Filmora 9 users? Why are you talking about Filmora 9? That was years ago. Don't you mean Filmora 11? That's the version most people are updating from. And why are you talking about a perpetual plan? Me and the rest of the people who are probably upset right now don't have perpetual plans, we have lifetime licenses. Secondly, the cost of software development is always increasing. To provide competitive pricing, we have turned to subscription plans since 2020, while still keeping the perpetual plan, considering some users' demand. Many software developers do not provide perpetual licenses now. Yes, I'm well aware of that. And I've talked about on my channel how you probably would change pricing along the way as the software developed. But we're not talking about people who had perpetual plans from 2020. We're talking about people who had lifetime licenses from long before. The email continues. Thirdly, we provide a big discount for any non-subscription plan holder who might want to upgrade. It only costs $29.99 to upgrade with 1 month free access to effects plugins worth $20.99. Now he's referring to people like me as non-subscription plan holders. So he does understand that we have lifetime licenses. Daniel, we had a very pleasant partnership before from Filmora 9 to Filmora 10, including several product review videos and an undisclosed amount that we agreed upon. Your promotion efforts brought us valuable users, and we also witnessed the growth of your YouTube channel. Filmora witnessed the growth of my channel, but certainly didn't cause it. My channel grew because I made learning about editing videos fun and easy. I could have done that with any video editing software, and I did, including products like Movavi, who were the very first video editing software sponsors on my channel. I am wondering if we can start a new partnership on Filmora 12. Again with the money. Why do they keep bringing up money in a new partnership? We haven't talked in years. Are they trying to buy my silence? Because typically if you sign a deal with one of these sponsors, it comes with wording in the contract that won't allow an ambassador to say anything negative about the sponsors they work with. We are open for discussion if you have any further thoughts. I have a few thoughts. 1, you can't buy my silence. And 2, you seem to keep tap dancing around the problem that me and a lot of other lifetime license holders are dealing with. My full response was pretty short and right to the point. That's not my issue. I have 3 lifetime licenses. Lifetime, not perpetual. These are 2 completely different licenses. While I logged in and while Filmora recognizes I have a lifetime license, it's telling me and the thousands of other people who have purchased your products because of me that we all need to update as our licenses do not cover the new version. This was their final response. Hey Daniel, thank you for your reply. Our team wants to clarify the license issue you mentioned further. First, we would like to note the difference between a software update and upgrade. Oh boy, here we go. Update, upgrade. Didn't I tell you those words were going to come back to haunt us? Please see a part of an in-depth explanation about the difference that was included in the Terms and Conditions page for Filmora 9. Filmora 9. Quote, the licensor may, at its sole discretion, decide if licensee can get software updates and/or content updates free of charge, or the licensee has to pay for the updates. The The license does not permit the licensee to obtain and use the software upgrade and/or new licensed software version. This means our customers, including yourself, can continue editing in the current version. However, the lifetime license doesn't include software upgrades to future versions, such as from Filmora 9 to Filmora 12. And there you have it, the acknowledgement I had been waiting for all along. Filmora finally uses the words lifetime license. They are absolutely aware of what license I hold, but they keep going on to, quote, terms and conditions from Filmora 9. Terms and conditions, I might add, that didn't even exist when I bought my lifetime license years earlier. Considering you are familiar with Filmora, that's an understatement. We would love to invite you to test the latest version of Filmora with other professional users. Your feedback is very valuable to us as we continue helping creators grow their YouTube and digital presence by making significant improvements and adding advanced new features in Filmora 12. We sincerely look forward to hearing from you. Warm regards, the Wondershare team. Well, Wondershare team, you're hearing from me now. You've clearly drawn your line in the sand, and I have to tell you, this latest decision is a really bad look. In my opinion, it seems like you're using the end-user license agreement that you've quietly changed in the background over the years to throw a lot of lifetime license users under the bus. But what's worse is you did it in a way that made us all feel that we didn't matter to you. To me, it seems like a money grab, plain and simple. You seem to be changing the rules today and hoping that no one will notice that they were different back when they purchased those licenses years ago. If I were you, and I am not, I would consider honoring all of those lifetime licenses purchased long before you offered a perpetual plan, and making sure that people with those lifetime licenses can not only update to Filmora 12, but to update to future versions that you start to create down the line. I'm certainly not perfect, and I make mistakes all the time too, but I feel like this is the right thing to do. And if you do it, I'm sure users will most likely forgive you. But if you don't, I'm afraid that a lot of your lifetime license holders might actually choose not to upgrade and go on to find other video editing softwares that have more features than Filmora and something that they can really put their faith in. For me personally, I'm going to go on to use some other video editing softwares. And I'll probably talk about those softwares here on my channel. Because as much as I've always liked Filmora, there are a lot of other great video editing software options out there. And some of them are completely free. I've enjoyed our time together, Filmora, and I wish you nothing but the best moving forward. But for now, it seems like you've decided for a lot of us that our lifetime with Filmora is over. Peace.